waiting for it to happen.
It's very hard. Hey,
I'm alive.
welcome and
Oh,
thank you.
welcome. Welcome to Brisbane Small Business. Today is the Improving Profitability Show, and we're talking about 5 tips for pricing your products and services. And today I have Kevin Gammy. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, how you going? I'm excited to be here. I love being a guest. It takes all the pressure off me.
You can just sit back and relax and answer questions. I can do all the questioning today. So,
Fantastic.
like I said, we are talking about pricing products and services, and I know you have both. So you have your services and your product-based business. So you should be able to apply what we're talking about in both businesses today.
I'm a crash test dummy from both sides. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. Tip number 1 is actually, let me just mention, we're not talking about setting your retail price because there's a whole heap of things that can be involved in that. What we're talking about is the components to think about when putting your pricing together. There's 1,001 things that I could mention, but we've narrowed it down to 5. So fingers crossed. The
So we're
first
really
one,
focused on the costs that go into, hey, here's the full cost
yes,
of what you've got. Now, you can price it from there depending on your other considerations. We'll talk about them at the end.
absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot more involved to it, but just understanding what the costs are will just kind of give you a bit of a backbone when you're putting your price together.
Fantastic.
So we start off obviously with base costs. So with a product-based business, obviously that's going to be your raw materials, the cost of getting your product to you for you to be able to do something with it. But also for a service-based business, your base costs are the service that you provide. So you know your time would be an example for that, your availability as well. So how does that work for your business, Kevin? Working out the base costs.
Yeah, so look, on the service business, we've got to think about time in a couple of different ways. Now, with my coaching consulting business, I go out and visit clients. And so if I've got to travel for an hour to go and see a client and an hour back, and I'm seeing the client for 2 hours, well, I've actually been inactive for half a day. So I need to make sure that I'm looking at all of my time involved in that. And here's the thing, quite often small business owners forget to cost their time. So if you don't have a direct cost of your time, I'm going to just tell people, just set $50 an hour as your minimum performance standard. Now, you may have a higher level. Basically, I work on the principle that there's at least 2,000 hours a year, a work year, right? We work for 50 weeks of the year. We work for around 40 hours a week, and I'm really good at my 2 times tables.
That's handy.
So it really is that. So if I'm out for half a day, that's cost at least $200.
Yeah.
And it's a really good way to think about it from that in relation to my base cost. That's before I look at any of the other considerations. If you've got to prepare for the meeting, you need to put that into your base costs. If you've got to follow up from your meeting, you've got to put that into your base costs.
Absolutely.
So it's all of those different things that you have. And all of those little bits that are inconsequential, they're not inconsequential. Yeah. They all add up really fast.
That's right. And even if you don't feel that comfortable, like you said, putting a price on your time, because some people don't, time and money aren't really always connected for some people, but just being aware of how long a process is going to take you will still help you in setting the price of your product and service, because you kind of still capturing all of that within your price. So you're not losing out, you're not making a loss when you're providing a service to your clients.
Absolutely. Look, on the side where I sell my dog beds, obviously that's a different value proposition. I think of all the direct costs that go into the dog beds, and sure, I buy them from China and I get mats made locally and that sort of stuff. So I've got to look at all of those different things. What is it physically costing me to get those goods ready for sale? But you're going to talk a little bit more about some of those other costs right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the second point I wanted to make was the delivery fees. And this works on both sides. So like your business, you're actually buying the product in. So you're going to be charged for delivery of that product to you. And again, you may have a delivery fee and exchange fees and custom fee, whatever the case may be, but also to get that delivery, your product to your customer. So again, there's a delivery charge within that. And, as a business, you decide whether you absorb that cost within your price or whether that's an add-on for when they actually make the purchase. So I'm assuming you would have a lot of that for your dog bread business being bought in from China.
So the portion that's brought in from China. So basically, we bring our frames in from China and we manufacture our mats locally. So locally's, down the road. It is half-hour drive away, but I'll go and pick up 20 mats plus at a time. So that part isn't. I really don't worry so much about that. It's a good opportunity for me to catch up with the manufacturer and have a chat about him and his business and how he's going and that sort of stuff. However, my product from China, my delivery is, when I first started buying the beds, my delivery fee was around 10 to 15% of the cost of the beds. Over the last year, 2 years, it's gone up to being around 65% of the cost of the beds, right? So once upon a time, it was inconsequential, but I was always adding it into the cost. But now I've got to really keep a close eye on that, because that is a significant portion of the cost of my beds.
Absolutely. And it's a direct cost as well. It's not just something that's in your business. But if you're on the service-based business side as well, you may think delivery fees aren't really important, but they are, because you're still delivering a service. So what platform are you delivering that on? But that needs to be incorporated in your price. So if you've got a subscription to platforms, I don't know, like Zoom or some what's it called when you've got the tutorials online where people can go and access them? They're all subscription-based platforms. So they are also part of your delivery fees.
Yeah, so your different, StreamYard that we're using right now and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
As you said, Teams is another way that a lot of people are delivering, and that sort of thing. So it depends on whether you're incorporating that into other parts of your business, whether you want to call that a direct cost or whether you want to call that an admin cost.
Either way.
But it's a definite consideration. If you have a client base that this is specifically designed for, and there's a cost per use, absolutely, then you call that one of your direct costs.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? So quickly moving on to the next one is payment fees. This one is forgotten so often. I know a couple of my clients have not even captured this in their costs, and it gets kind of lost somewhere. But payment fees are actually a substantial cost to your products and services. Whether, obviously if it's just a bank transfer, then you don't really have anything, but most payment platforms, whether it's PayPal, Stripe, Afterpay, they all incur a fee, and it really adds up. Some of them are quite high.
I think it's almost criminal what they're charging these days, but we won't go into my views on the banking system right now. But quite often it's 2%, 2.5%. That you're paying with these things. So you take 2.5% off your revenue line, and if you're selling products, if they're on a skinny margin, that's a big chunk of your profitability.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially with like you said, the low cost items, and then you add the payment fee on top of that. It's could be a big portion of the cost. So yeah, payment fees is something to remember. And the next one is marketing. Again, often forgotten because it kind of goes to a different avenue, but depending on what marketing you're doing for your products and services, all incurs a cost. But it depends on what strategy you're going with, I guess. Organic, obviously, you won't have to pay anything, but in most cases, people have paid for ads and campaigns and funnels and whatnot. So that's not really my strong point, but it is something to consider.
Yeah, and it's important to have a budget for these things, and rather than just going, "Hey, it's going to run rampant." Hey, if I'm gonna invest, $1,000 on a campaign, what am I going to get for that? Like, what's the likely outcome I'm going to get? What's the worst case scenario? And understanding where your break even point is of that.
Yeah.
You know, quite often with platinum memberships, I get asked, well, but how many units am I going to sell? And they go, well, that depends on how you use that. um, but that's an annual subscription, so it's
Yeah.
literally only $50 a month or thereabouts. And if you sell one product, you're probably ahead.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
why I
But
get
it's
people to do
all
it.
things to consider. So
Mm.
the last thing that I want to mention, and this is something that I've changed my mind on actually over the last little while, is GST. Now, obviously, there's a threshold involved in there that you have to register, but even if you're a micro business that hasn't quite got there, if you're planning on growing a business, a successful, sustainable, profitable business, then it's quite a good idea to register for GST ahead of time. One, it's already in your prices and you don't have to worry about it as you approach that threshold. But two, it also gives you a little bit more credibility as well. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, look, when I'm dealing with a prospect, if they go, oh, look, this is X GST, or I don't charge GST, instantly I'm thinking, okay, well, they're a real micro business. Okay, they're not doing a lot. Now, some business strategically keep under the GST bracket. I get that. However, the feeling that you get when somebody is doing that is, hey, how current are they? How much are they investing on their education and keeping up to date and that sort of stuff? Are they on top of market trends and all that? And I get that a few people are going to go, Kevin, you're running small business, and you're questioning about being a micro business, but I'm not questioning about being micro business. I'm just saying these are the questions that are running around in my head.
Yeah,
How you
from a
structure your business
customer's
is
point of
completely
view.
up to you.
Mhm.
But other people, if I'm thinking this, other people are thinking it too. And is that costing your sales? That's point one. Two, if you're working with someone on a long-term basis and you're not charging GST, and then all of a sudden you have to go, oh, by the way, I need to put the prices up by 10%. Now, if that's a business expense, in one sense it doesn't matter, but emotionally it still does. If
Yeah,
that's on a personal level, then all of a sudden it's costing 10% more. And
absolutely.
what am I getting for that extra 10%?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great point. And the key thing to mention is when you are charging GST, it's not actually your money as well. So obviously it is part of your pricing, but it's not money that you keep for yourself. You're just keeping it aside and giving it at tax time to the ATO. So knowing that it's a bit of an in and out, being aware of that is a key part to understanding your GST.
That's absolutely good. So here's where we'll have a chat next time we do the show about the marketing considerations, and we'll just have an open conversation about that. About now that you've got all of the costs that are in your business, so you've got, we'll put them up again. We've got your base cost, we've got your delivery, and your payment fees, as well as your marketing and your GST. Once you understand that these are the cost inputs that are going towards your product, what are you going to sell that for? So now that the biggest pricing challenge most people have is that they forget about some of those costs,
Yeah.
and then they price their product wrongly and they struggle to make a profit.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to help people not do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a really good exercise to do that with your products and services so that you're aware of it. What you price it at with your retail price is a whole different ballgame, as you said, Kevin, but understanding that base is super, super important.
Absolutely. Hey, Jatixa, thanks. You've been an awesome host today.
Thanks. You've been really super helpful. So thank you very much for joining me today. If anyone's watching and has any questions, please do leave a comment and I'll come back. Well, we'll come back and answer as best we can.
Absolutely. Throw any questions below, and we will speak to you all soon. Bye.
Yeah, speak to you soon. Bye.